All right, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, September 9th, 2022. If you've not done so already, give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, gap and go day today here for the spiders. Getting this video out a little early as markets are basically really gone to sleep after the first initial thrust. You had a little pullback here and then another kind of continuation here. There's a chance they give us a little late day pump or something like that. Maybe a little bit of profit taking too might take place, but overall it's not really going to amount to anything. The move has already happened here, and the levels we talked about yesterday, the kind of master levels, I said 401.56 on the spiders is obviously going to get closed above unless an absolute avalanche happens in the last hour, which is probably not going to happen, but we're going to close above that level. So now we're going to give the market the upside bias to 410. And, I think a lot of the reasoning here is, you had the beginnings of a bear base, and it was pretty sloppy here. You never really had an inside bar. You never really had like a mother bar or anything like that. And just really sloppy down here. And, I talked about this early in the week and over the weekend, and I said on Tuesday, so look, I know Friday and Monday were ugly, but this is good weekly support. I mean, this is it doesn't always give you an immediate reaction when you're looking at those bigger time frames, but you got 4 or 5 weeks here of support, and so it's not just going to break down without at least consolidating first. And we started to consolidate here, and then we just ended up pushing higher here. There's a lot of hedges being bought. If you look at the skew right now, I know this is kind of choppy, but you can see it's very low, which essentially is telling you there's a lot of hedging going on. And we're going into Opex week next week, end of quarter, quad witch. So there's incentive to burn out some of those puts. There definitely is. However, I'm a little bit more neutral as far as next week. Now, you guys know I still have a downside bias to the market. I still think we're going lower. But next week, specifically, I don't think that we have a ton of downside. If we do, it would be, I would say, I don't know if unprecedented is the word, but typically during an Opex week, you don't have a major sell-off. There isn't major selling. I mean, you'll have whipsaw. You'll have you can get pretty good volatile days down and up, but usually the market makers want to be in control, and they're not going to be in control if the VIX is blowing up and there's panic. So they're going to lose money on their premiums potentially, and they can't push the market where they need it to go if there's massive panic going on. So usually there's not, we have seen tops in Opex week before. This was a top during Opex week, but we didn't have massive downside. So plus we have CPI coming up as well. So that will be, that's going to be interesting, that coming out during Opex week. And then the week after we have FOMC. And from what I've read, recently, I believe it's now an 80% chance of 75 bips. So previously I thought it would be 50 after the last Fed meeting, or after Jackson Hole, I should say. But now it's looking like it's going to be 75. So until that changes, that is what I've read. Also, the CPI, we have a number on that now. So the consensus is 8.1. So that is the number there. Again, we don't care about the number specifically, just the market's reaction. But in any case, again, I'm a little bit more neutral here towards next week. After that, I think we can head a lot lower. So we'll just be on guard for that. But bottom line, short term, we're looking for, 410. We got the 20 MA up there, this upsloping trend line. This was a previous head and shoulder pattern that played out pretty much perfectly to target there, just this week, in fact. So those could be levels. I know that a lot of you guys use volume, price by volume on the side. I know there's a big air pocket here, but trust me, there's a lot of supply in this as well. Especially once you get up to 410, 411, that's kind of where you broke down from, and there is heavy volume there, over 100 million shares traded. Look at what we're moving up on. So do you think institutions are buying this, or do you think it's just algos and retail traders? So this will be good resistance. There's a lot of sellers in that bar, but for right now, we'll give the market the upside bias into that upper level there. And then into CPI, who knows, that could be a catalyst as well. So we'll keep on guard for that. But in any case, today, market's pretty much asleep here. We'll look at the Qs. Nice outside day, finally getting an outside day for the Qs, up 2%. Again, light volume there. generally favors the upside. Still below that 50 moving average. We'll see if, maybe they pump us up here in the last hour and try to get us to close above that. But obviously, you're going to take out that pivot 303.75, which we already talked about yesterday, and that's clearly going to get breached. Your next levels here, you got the 20 MA. I would say this 310 area is a little bit minor. I think the better level right now, let's just adjust this. The better level right now is going to be right about here. So 312.75, somewhere in that area. That was your breakdown area. So that's where I would look for some headwinds there on the Qs. But overall, nice little outside day there, and tech finally able to get some legs here. Russell 2000 holding up well. Your level right there is the same one from before. So right around 191, 20 MA, breakdown bar, breakdown area. But Russell having a nice day up just under 2% there. Diamond up 1.25 as well. That is into a little short-term resistance, so right with that 150 kind of necktie area, but a nice outside day getting above that pivot as well, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Inside of tech, semiconductors, again, finally getting an outside day. Bulls really needed this. It's still below all 4 major moving averages. You did get above this pivot, though. Next step is going to be this 218 area. If you can get above that, then you're going to have a ton of headwinds right around 225. So, but for now, nice little outside day. They finally got off the canvas a little bit. Really, I mean, this was starting to bear flag pretty good. And, the semis needed this move here. So we'll give them a short-term kind of bias here going into next week. IGV also a little outside day. Again, headwinds, same in that same area, 294, 295, same area as the semis with that little breakdown. All these charts are the same. I mean, everything trades the same nowadays, but you guys can see these levels pretty easily. Biotech here also getting a little bit of a bid. This one just kind of stalling out at that 200 moving average, but a nice little move up there for XBI. And the Dow, that's the regular Dow Transports, here we go. So 50 MA, 100 MA, nice little outside move. This one's still on the weaker side. It's got a nice little pop today. We're up 2.5% or so, but let's just take a look. I'm gonna try and get this exact here. Hold on, bear with me. So what's that level? 1455.27. Type that in. All right, so we'll be watching this by the close. If this can close above that, that would give you probably upside bias here to at least the 20 MA and maybe that this little pivot right there. So Dow Transport's still weak though. We look at the rest of the market, SPY, triple Qs, Dow, Russell, everything is above that breakdown bar, that the 4156 area on the SPYs that we've been talking about the last day or two, and the Dow Transports are still struggling with that. So they're actually pulling back off it right now intraday. Again, with the light volume, they could just float it back above that, but it is notable that the transports are still on the weaker side here. We'll definitely make note of that moving forward. Anyways, interest rates. 10-year holding up here. Not a whole lot going on in rate land today. TYX holding up as well. HYG up into this 50 moving average. Nice little pullback there off that necktie, 20 and 50 MA. Really quick about rates. Let's take a look here because we haven't talked about this in a few days. Yield curves. So this is 10 and 30. That one's pulling back a little bit. This is the 5 and 30, also pulling back. What I really want to talk about, though, is this 3-month 10-year. We came up and touched that 50 moving average earlier this week, and we got a pretty good rejection off of that. And on the weekly, this is putting in a good bear. This is putting in a really good bear pattern. So if you want to talk about catalysts to the downside, here's 2s and 10s, by the way. If you want to talk about potential catalysts to the downside, you start to head lower. That could be your catalyst. So definitely keep that on watch. But just wanted to talk about that curve because we haven't mentioned that in a few days. Anyways, home builders XHB, nice little pop outside day here. Nice little move for that. Not much to add to it. Everything's getting a bid today. ITB, same kind of deal. BNQ, right into that level there. Some may stall out here. Got the 120 and then that red bar there. So just above that. Coming into a little resistance, but VNQ's had a nice little run off the lows this week. It's actually been a market leader this whole week, so definitely a stronger area. All right, financials, XLF, so up 1% on the day. Nice little pop back above the 20 moving average. Again, we'll see if this probably wants to go up and challenge that 35 handle now. If it can close above that 20 moving average, I think we're probably going to go up into that area and challenge that red bar high here. Broker dealers as well, now back above that 20 moving average, so it looks like that wants to go up into that 460 area, we'll call it. But again, Opex week, we may just get a lot of chop here moving forward. All right, energy, crude. So it's funny, we talked about this yesterday. I said, well, you know, this isn't exactly a reversal candle. And I said, I wouldn't rule out a big surge tomorrow. That could happen. Sometimes you pause before you take off. We got a nice surge today. I'm not really ready to call it a low yet, because it doesn't look like we're going to take out that high. So the high is 87.76. You get a daily close above that, you could have a case that there is a low in crude. Until that happens, we could still make another little push down. I wouldn't rule that out, but I still like crude in this area, and I'm personally long myself. Basically just looking to build a position here at this point. So if anything, I'm actually rooting for it to get a little bit lower so I can add more. But if not, I think this is a powder keg here. The major headwind right now is that we're still roughly 2 months away from the election. Now, it can bottom before the election, so don't get me wrong, but you may still see some kind of headwinds before then. So just keep that in mind. But I still like crude in this area. XLE, also a nice little bit today, been a strong sector, up 2.37%. OIH here, up over 4.5, almost 4 3/4. Nice little move there. And XOP also up as well. So it did kind of break down from this channel though, so a little bit of a concern there, but again, still a strong sector in the market. All right, Natty, not doing a whole lot here. This is not what you want to see if you're bullish. Doesn't mean it's, doesn't mean it can't get a bid here, but you wanted to see a good reaction off that trend line. So basically, bottom line, if it breaks this trend line, this has a ton of downside in the short term, especially if it starts to put in a bear pattern. But we'll see what we get here. I wouldn't rule out a pop. I mean, it's been very resilient really for the last like 18 months or so. Every time I thought it was overbought and going to correct it, it may be corrected, but it never got as low to any of the targets I had really, or any of the long-term targets rather. But yeah, in any case, nat gas kind of just getting a dead cat bounce at the moment. We'll see what we get next week. It is a quad witch, so we'll see what we get there. Maybe this had something to do with that. They got the party started early. I noticed a lot of people, I know there's talk about a lot of European traders that were heavily leveraged into it. That could be some of the reasoning there. Hey, they're going to squeeze out some of these leverage longs and pocket that premium. But in any case, nat gas, it's holding up for the moment, and if anything changes, of course, we'll let you know. All right, dollar. Nice continued pullback. Look at the volatility there. So intraday, it doesn't really look like much here. You're kind of just stuck. A lot of it was overnight. It's basically done nothing in the U.S. session. Testing that 20 moving average though, but a lot of volatility coming in. So this is the type of candles you start to see when something is getting ready to top. You see those increased volatility there. I don't know if it's like a permanent top, but I think we're getting close to a very good correction here in the dollar index. And you guys know my thoughts on that. I've been talking about that really all week. Markets will like that in the short term, but that will give a tailwind to commodities, which markets will also not like. So another little potential headwind moving forward here for the markets. Gold here, up modestly, nothing crazy here. Still just kind of hanging in there. You could make a case it's starting to put in kind of a bear wedge there, so we'll be on watch for that. It is below the moving averages, so I wouldn't rule out a push lower. But the miners are still holding up well, and they're holding up much better than gold. So I do like it when the miners lead, and we've definitely made note of that lately. Silver, a little bit on the stronger side, so finally back above 1850. Basically just touching that 20 moving average, so I'd expect some type of pullback or flag. If it can do that, this has legs for a really nice move up here, and platinum continues to rock star here. So I picked up some PPLT right in this area here. It went lower, and it was like, oh no, is this gonna crash? I was like, no, it's not gonna crash. Then we averaged in at double bottom, and I said, look, we're gonna get a good W pattern here, and that's looking like we have the makings of that right now. So this should have pulled back today and been red going into these moving averages with that extension move off the lows. And the fact that it's just still green, even though it's off the highs, is definitely a sign of strength. So I think this can flag, if not maybe pull back and have a higher low, and this will have major legs to the upside. I really, really like platinum here. And palladium also getting a nice bid. Finally, looks like it's going to get a close above this red bar here, so that may have some legs as well for a move up. Copper here had a nice move earlier today and then kind of pulled back off the highs. Now it's getting a little bit of a bid here into the 3 o'clock time frame. Overall, let's take a look at the weekly here. Yeah, so you pared back a lot of those losses. They defended the 200 moving average. I'm not in love with this pattern, but we'll see what we get. It needs to develop a little bit more, but nice little recovery there on the week for spot copper. And then Bitcoin, finally, we've got something to talk about with Bitcoin. So up just under 10%. Finally getting an outside candle. Yeah, good job, crypto bulls. Finally showed up. Or, I mean, at least the shorts covered. I mean, either or. But finally getting back above that 20 moving average, above the breakdown bar. This is going to want to go up to about, we'll call it 22,000. So that's going to be your first little test, but that's a nice little outside candle. You took out, I mean, that took out what, like 2 weeks worth of trading in one day. So that's finally Bitcoin is showing me something here. So maybe get a little bit of strength here. 22 is going to be your first test. If you get through that, it's back up to about 23, and then 24 there will be resistance, pretty good resistance as well. But finally Bitcoin getting an outside candle there, and it's showing leadership. Ether, which has had a stronger technical pattern for months now, not up nearly as much as Bitcoin. So nice little move there, and Ether right now has to get above 1705.80. So it's currently just above that right now. If it can close above that, that would be a sign of strength, and I would give it the upside bias. Probably to about 1850, 1900. So a little bit of strength here. Finally, I get to say something about Bitcoin other than, hey, it's going lower. Hey, it's bear flagging. So good job to crypto bulls. Congrats. You got a nice little outside day there. All right, so it's about 3 o'clock here. Market's kind of just floating around here. They're in kind of autopilot mode here. I don't expect too many fireworks before the close. They may squeeze us up and get us the Qs above that 50 moving average. It wouldn't surprise me at all here. There's very light volume, so it wouldn't be that hard for them to do. Bottom line, though, we're going to give the market the upside bias. For the Qs, right up to that 312, 313 area. And then on the spiders, 410, 411. Again, CPI next week, quad witch, Opex. It's going to be a volatile week. Should be lots of fun, but be careful. We're just going to be kind of neutral-ish going into next week as it is on Options X. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you all next week.